Williams will be out. Isaac Garinda will be out. Greenlaw, Bosa, and Robert Beal are questionable.
What is Beal?
Hurt his ankle out there today.
Greenlaw, Beal, and who else?
And Bosa. Yeah.
Patrick Taylor Jr. would be the starter.
Most likely.
I know you talked about him last week, but what has he shown you as far as, I mean, can you just plug him in and just do everything that you'd ordinarily do?
Yeah, he's been here, since training camp. He's done a real good job for us. Played in this league before, has experience there at Green Bay, and when he's got his opportunities with us, he's ran the ball well. So, and when he hasn't ran the ball, he's really helped us on special teams. So, big opportunity for him, and glad we got him.
People have described you and Mike as innovative offensive coaches. I don't know if you would consider yourself that, but who would you consider on your list of innovative coaches that you've come across in your run as a coach?
Just I've worked with before. I'd always go for sure with my dad first. Starting out with John Gruden was awesome. He was in all that stuff, so that was a great place for me to start because I got to, my dad would always isolate it down to certain things that he did. John did everything, which was real cool because I got to learn a little bit of everything and then decide what you want to do and how you want to package it. So, Kube was awesome. Coming from the same tree as my dad, but those are the best I've been around.
How's Dre come through the week? With 3 extra days.
I think he's had a good week. Yeah, he's done a good job.
Did you hear what Brock had to say yesterday about playing with a sense of urgency or a chip on his shoulder? That he kind of feels like maybe he lost some of that. Has that been apparent at all?
No.
Or do you know what? Have you talked to him about that?
No. I heard about it because I had a radio show yesterday and they asked me about Brock saying he's going to play with more of a chip on his shoulder, and so that was the only thing I heard about it. And he has as big of a chip on his shoulder as any player I've been around, so that throws me off. He's probably just trying to answer a question and come up with something to say for you guys, but Brock plays as hard and competitive as anyone I've been around.
What do you think of Brock giving his linemen Toyota Sequoias and Tundras?
I think it shows he's a hell of a guy, and then he got a hell of a deal.
Question for you. Your 2 playoff wins last year against Packers and Lions were probably incomplete, certainly by last year's standards. But did they go into the offseason? Did those games give you any pause or have you worried about any cracks that might be on this team?
No, not at all. Those games, when you have a game that, as you would say, is incomplete, that's what you figure out for the next 6 days on how to get ready for the next game, and then what shows up in the next game, and then anything that happens in those 2 games that affects you on those 2 weeks on how to prepare for the Super Bowl and stuff like that. But no, playoff games, you can win games any type of way. You look at the history of this league and you watch the greatest show on turf who had all those points, and for them to get to the Super Bowl, I think they had to score a touchdown on the last couple plays of a game, and I forget the score. I think it was 15-6 or something. But playoff games, you got to do whatever you got to win. What I remember about those is I didn't think we came out playing great right away. I think what frustrated me last year about those games was clinching the 1 seed so early, having to find that way to play that last game when guys were also going to get a bye week the next week, and how to kind of keep that routine going and stuff while you still wanted to rest guys a little bit. And I felt that a little bit in the first week, I thought just as our team and stuff, but none of that leads in, this is a preview of next year. And you get to the offseason, you evaluate all your personnel, which changes with contracts and all that stuff. You evaluate the draft, and you build your team for training camp.
You guys run similar systems, but it seems like your weapons are quite a bit different. His weapons seem like they're just almost like a track team. You got this incredible physical group. How do you see the difference? Is that a statement about what he likes and what you like?
No, I think it's a statement of what you get. No one what I like is the biggest, strongest, fastest, most aggressive player possible, who's extremely smart and very natural at football. So I'd love all those type of guys to build it around. what I'm trying to say is you get the best thing that you can get, and whether it's in a draft, but you never like go into something and say, hey, I need a guy with a good 40 time, or hey, I need a really tough guy. You need a good football player who can be the best starting running back you have, the best starting tackle, the best quarterback, the best receiver, rusher, whatever it is. And then how do you get that guy? It's through free agency, it's through the draft, it's through guys who are already on your team, building them, improving them, and then you put together a scheme that goes with that. That's why I always laugh but when you're going to bring your scheme to another team, yeah, you bring like what you believe in, your foundation of football, but your scheme is based off of the players that you have around you and how you give those guys the best chance to succeed.
Kittle says he still gets text messages from Embry telling him your stance is terrible, your footwork's trash. And is that tampering?
If they were in our own division, I'd say yes. I'd try to get back at them, but no, I love Johnson in those texts. John's awesome dude, a hell of a coach, and that's his style, and he's going to ride guys like that, and I got no problem with him riding our guys if it helps him.
You're on the radio, you probably don't listen to sports talk radio, but a popular talking point is that you need to reinvent yourself. You know, your offense is all over the league and everyone's caught up to it, and you know, now you need to evolve or whatever. I assume some of that already happens every year. I mean, do you agree with part of that, or is that just, you know, as a coach you're always doing that?
That's what you try to do every single week. That's what you try to always do, but you don't. It's kind of like the other question when talking about schemes. You don't just say, hey, today I'm going to try to run the wishbone offense and stuff. It's what are the players that you have, what do you believe in, and what gives those guys the best chance to succeed. You know, for a little bit here, we almost went with the running quarterback, possibly with Trey. You saw a different offense when he got out there. You see different things. You got to adjust your players. I know what I want to do. I think we got the players here to do that stuff. But reinventing yourself, as you ask, that's. I mean, I did that having a mustache this offseason for a little bit. That's how I would look at that, and I'm totally joking. But it's when it comes to football's. That's why I think coaches get a little too much credit too. When a really good scheme is putting the players that you have in the best chance they have to max out and do their best, and that's what we're going to always try to do, and the scheme will change with that.
I guess along those lines, I think there's like 18 teams in the league that run some variation of what you do. Do you take that, are you flattered by that, or are you frustrated by that?
It just is what it is. And when they say they do it, we do it. Teams motion a lot more now. They believe in play action a lot more. I think that comes from defensive coordinators and defensive coaches pushing that on offensive guys. I think the more young guys that come in the league, that's what they see a little bit more of, and that's kind of how it goes. Like when I got in the league, you see certain things, and I ran a certain offense at Houston when I was there. Went to Washington, tried to do a real similar offense, and it was totally different personnel, and I realized I couldn't run that same thing, and I had to adjust, and each year was different. Then we got Robert in there, which was more of a quarterback who had a running element, and then I had to do stuff that I'd never done before, but not because you're just reinventing yourself or trying to change the league, because you're trying to figure out what can help the guys that you have be successful, and that can change all the time depending on the player's skill set. But I say as a coach that if you want to make it in this league and you want to have some success in this league, you better be able to adjust to anything, or you're only going to be successful when you have the perfect situations. All right, thanks guys.